Hi everyone, my name is Danielle, and welcome to another episode of Board Game Bakes. This is a show where we make dessert versions of some of your favorite board games, so whether it's the game pieces, board, or other components. This week, guess what? We're not going to make another thing of cookies. I actually do make some things besides cookies, but I think cookies may be my favorite to decorate. This week we're actually going to make a cake. This week we're focusing on King of Tokyo. King of Tokyo is another great beginner game. It kind of has a similar feel to Yahtzee, which I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with. In this game, you have dice that you roll. You have 6 dice and you roll them. And based on what you roll, you have the opportunity to attack another monster, heal yourself, get energy, or work towards points. The game ends when you're either the last one standing or you get to 20 points. We're going to make a version of the die. So we're going to have a black die, and it's going to have a little surprise inside. So let's get started. For the box cake mix, you want to use whatever you need in the box. This recipe needs eggs, oil, and water. And then we're going to use some green food coloring to dye it green. We're going to use this 12 by 12 baking pan to make the cake. This is a really cool pan that I actually saw for the first time when watching the Great British Bake Off. I mixed the cake mix per the package instructions, and then I used the green food coloring to make it green like the dye. Now I'm ready to pour it into our pans. I prepare the pans by spraying it with pan and lining it with parchment paper. You want to have your oven preheated to 350 degrees. And this wound up cooking I think for approximately 18 minutes. But since it doesn't really fit any of the categories on your box, you may need to watch it more closely. All done, it looks nice and fluffy. To make your black buttercream frosting, you're going to need 1 cup of salted butter, and you want this to be at room temperature. You need 4 cups of powdered sugar, a half a cup of black cocoa powder, and this is interesting because you can't usually find this in the store. You have to order it online. I use King Arthur one, but you could find different varieties online. 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract and 3 to 6 tablespoons of milk. And how much milk you're going to use is going to depend on the consistency that you want. Okay, now while our cakes are cooling, we're going to make our black buttercream frosting. This frosting is really interesting because they give you that nice black color, but you don't have to use any of the food dyes. So this way you don't get that black famous color in your mouth or on your tongue. One thing about the frosting though is that it is more of a dark chocolate taste to it. So if you don't like the taste of dark chocolate, you could always cut the amount of black cocoa in half and replace it with regular cocoa powder. And that should make it a little bit more sweet. And if you want it to be a little darker, then you could add some of the black food coloring to it. The first step for making our icing is we're going to just cream our butter to a nice smooth consistency. Now that our butter is nice and creamy, I'm going to scrape down the sides and start adding the rest of my ingredients. I'm going to add our cocoa powder, vanilla extract. I'm going to try and more gradually add the sugar, so I'm only going to add a little bit of the sugar now, so I don't create a huge cloud of sugar. And I'm just going to start with adding half of the milk for now. Now that I've added my sugar, I want to stop for a second and scrape down the sides. Now when you make buttercream and it doesn't look like it's going to come together at all, and then magically it gets nice and smooth. If you look at it, it has a nice dark color, and actually as it sits out longer, it seems to get even darker. Our cakes are nice and cool to the touch, so the first step in assembly is we want to take a knife and level off the top so this way they're flat and we actually have a square shape instead of a leaning tower. I'm still new to the whole leveling cake thing, so they're probably not completely flat, but I'll get better practice. The next step in our process is we're going to use the cookie cutter that we actually used from our Carcassonne episode. So if you want to see Carcassonne cookies, click the link below. And we're going to put a hole in the middle because this is a surprise cake, so you have to have somewhere to put the surprise. We have all our parts ready, so we're ready to start assembling. I took the black icing we made and I put it into a piping bag so it's a little easier to work with. So the first thing I'm going to do is just put a little bit on here. So this way when we put our cake on, it's going to stick. Okay, now we're going to do a layer of icing on the cake, and do our next layer, and repeat until we get to the top. I'm going to use this offset spatula to spread around the icing. Now it's time to do the fun part and fill our cake. So, I must admit, I was that person, and I tried to find green M&Ms, which I think are mint, but apparently they're not out this type of year. So I have a combination of caramel, peanut, and regular M&Ms that are green, have a little bit of orange since some of the dye are also orange. But let's fill it up. Looks nice and full. Now let's ice it so we can put our lid on. Okay, now I'm going to take our knife to make the edges a little more flat. Apparently I'm very messy. Okay, well now I'm going to start icing the cake since this is already messy. Cake failure number 1. You may notice that the icing isn't exactly sticky on the cake. I have a confession. Usually I keep my icing in the bowl and I just kind of lather along as I go, but when you watch on the YouTube videos, it just looks so neat, so I decided to give it a try. I think I need a little bit more practice though. Now our cake is all iced and I'm ready for the decorations. So the final step is that we want to make the decorations to go on the outside so that our cake fully looks like one of the cubes from King of Tokyo. So I made the decorations out of fondant. I chose to make the decorations ahead of time, but also show you how to make them now. You could also make them while the cake is baking or during different steps of the process. I chose to make my decorations beforehand, so I knew they'd be firm enough to stand up on the cake. You're going to need green food coloring, which is the same one we use to dye the cake. I have a die from the game just for reference, so I know the shapes. Have the rolling pin, heart-shaped cookie cutter for one of the sides, a tool to cut out your shapes, and I'm just using store-bought fondant for this recipe. This is actually only my second time working with fondant. To start, you want to mold it in your hand, kind of like plate it to get it nice and malleable. And then we're going to use the same food coloring that we used to dye the cake to dye the fondant the green color like the outside of the cake. You're going to keep rolling it and stretching it until you have it to the desired color. Once you're done kneading your fondant and you have it to the consistency that you want, you could roll it out using the rolling pin that we showed earlier. The rolling pin is actually nice because it has bands on it, so this way you could get it to the right level of thickness. I used the heart-shaped cookie cutter to put the heart in, and then I'm using the picture of the die in order to cut out the claw. I looked at the die to figure out what sides I needed, so I made a 1, 2, 3, and lightning bolt in addition to the claw and the heart. Cake fail number 2. You may realize that I keep on dipping my knife in powder because the fondant's a little sticky. For future reference, in order to make your fondant less sticky, you could mix it with a little bit of cornstarch, and that helps make it a little more firm. I realized that apparently my cornstarch is expired. It was thrown out a week or 2 ago, so I substitute with powdered sugar. For reference, it at least works decently well to help it not be so sticky. I made the sides of the cake on no particular order, so I made a 1, claw, heart, 3, 2, and lightning bolt. I realized I don't need all 6 sides since one's on the bottom, but I made one. This way I had a choice of which ones I want to use. Let's put our cake together. I think I want to have the claw on the top because I think that's the most iconic for King of Tokyo. Okay, if that's on this side, I want the heart over here. If it's not sticky, you can always put some frosting onto the back of it. I want a 2 over here. My 2 just fits. It looks like I want a 1 over here. Voila! Our cake is complete, and it looks not too shabby to me. I think all that's left right now is we have to cut into it to see the surprise. Got some explosion coming out. Thanks for watching another episode of Board Game Bakes. Please like, comment, and subscribe below. In the comments, please indicate if there's any games or recipes you'd like to see featured on this channel. I'd love to show things on the channel that you're actually playing right now. Keep playing games and keep them sweet. Time to try the cake. Delicious. Sorry, Monster Cookie. I think that die's even too big for you to roll.